Good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting, March 16th, 2026. Oh, there we are. I'd like to call this meeting to order, inform the public about the Open Meetings Act posted in the council chambers and accessible to the members of the public. This time, we'll have a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Granquist.
Here.
Arns.
Here.
Webb.
Here.
McCarthy.
Here.
Beckman. Here. Jensen.
Here.
Langy.
Here.
Hildebrand.
Here.
Mayor.
Here. There is no public comment this evening, so we'll move on to recommended action. We need approval of the consent agenda.
So approved.
Second.
Motion second, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
And move on to approval of the full agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion second, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, that moves us to a public hearing and related action. At this time, we need a motion to adjourn as mayor and city council and convene as Board of Equalization to hear items 19 through 27.
And so move, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion second. Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative. Motion carries.
All right, now we'll open the public hearing for 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27. Number 19, public hearing for Board of Equalization here, an equalized special assessment for Water Extension District number 130, 37th, and Prospect. Do you want me to read through all of them? Okay. Number 20, consideration approval of ordinance number 5971 levying special assessment in Water Extension District number 130, 37th, the Prospect. Public hearing for the Board of Equalization to hear, I'm on 21, sorry. To hear equalization special assessment for Water Extension District number 132, Mach 1 Drive. Number 22, consideration of approval for ordinance number 5972 levying special assessment in Water Extension District number 132, Mach 1 Drive. Number 23, public hearing for the Board of Equalization to hear an equalized special assessment for Sanitary Sewer Extension District number 256, 37th the Prospect. Item number 24, or wait, I'm sorry. Number 27, public hearing for Board of Equalization to hear an equalized special benefits for Sanitary Sewer Connection District 258, Rolling Hills Drive. And Steve, you will lead us in discussion on this.
Mayor and Council, before I enter this, I got a quick question here for Council. Thanks. Mayor and Council, I have items, public hearing items 19, 21, 23, 25, and 27 that I'll present in this public hearing. Number 19 is for the Water Extension District 130, which is 37th and Prospect. These districts, all of these districts were created approximately a year ago. The water district was created as a function of extending water from about up 37th Street from where Shepherd of the Peace Church is and connecting that into the water main up at Benjamin Avenue. As a function of that project, we did create a couple water districts and a couple sewer districts. I'll read through those. Water extension district number 130, 37th and Prospect. We had a total construction cost of $197,153.50. The the administrative costs on that portion of the project was $25,513.53. That gave us a total project, $222,667.03. There were oversized costs on that, so as a city, we consume the oversized costs. That would be anything over an 8-inch water main. Some abutting property non-assessable, $113,514.58. And what that is, we have the district up on the screen here. When we created the district, we did not include properties on the east side. Those would be brought in as a function of connection in the future. So we consume that cost as a city, and then we charge that cost in a linear foot connection fee when those properties connect. That leaves an abutting property assessable cost of $98,325.47. The adjoining properties then, we go through an analysis and we look at linear foot cost, square foot cost, and then an aggregate area. And then we look at it as 50-50, I guess. We take the 50% of the linear foot assessment, 50% of the area foot assessment, and look at that number. And what we have here is we felt that the benefit to the property best matched the combined area foot, linear foot, 50-50 split. And so that's what we have laid out here in this assessment district. If there aren't any questions on that, I'll move to the next one, which would be public hearing for the board for the Water Extension District 132 on Mach 1 Drive. This is item 21.
Steve.
Yes?
Those properties that we're not assessing now, will they pay the cost that we put it in today?
Yeah.
Say 10 years from now?
Yes.
Okay.
They do.
Okay.
So that goes on the books. Well, it goes into our assessment. We track these and we assess them the average of the last 5 assessments. So it'll go up over time.
And so are all property owners assessed per linear foot?
When they connect in the future, yes.
All properties are assessed the same?
Yes.
So essentially, it would help them to connect now. Have we communicated that with them? Or do they have the ability to?
We do that up front when we visit with them and describe the project. In this case here, we had an odd shape. It's kind of an I-shaped property on the east side with a little chunk of property in the middle of it. And so as we went through kind of the process of looking at those, structuring the project and figuring out how we would calculate the benefit to the properties, it just made sense to keep that one out and bring them in the future when that larger parcel would develop. Any other questions on that before I read 132? Water Extension District 132 is the Mach 1 Drive water extension. This was driven primarily by the development of 6 lots on the south side of Mach 1 Drive. That project then was created and awarded. Construction was $105,467.68. Administrative costs $11,748.05 for a total project of $117,215.73. Abutting property non-assessable, and that one is up. The abutting property non-assessable of $26,894.27 is primarily due, when you look over here right along, the dotted line shows the extension. That property right there in the corner is outside of the district. They've already been created and paid their share of the city utility system, and so we do not include them in the district. And then, so that lets the remaining abutting property assessable, $90,321.46. Based on the uniformity of the properties, we did assess this one based on the linear footage. And you can see those on the back. Most of those properties were $68.60 or 68.6 feet. The one property here that fell outside of that development of the 6 lots is property 7 on the north side. That property was built somewhere around 1994, and when they built the property, the water connection was allowed over to 36th through an agreement that was then brought to the city council, passed and recorded at the county register of deeds office against that property. And that agreement states that in the future, there was no connection fee charged at the time. But in the future, when the city would create an assessment district to extend water on Mach 1 Drive, that property would be included in the assessment. So that's why that property is included. Any questions on that one? Also on that one, just as a function of benefit to the property, we did use in theory, they could have connected on 37th Street, so we did use the 177-foot dimension on 37th Street as the benefit calculation for them. Move on to item number 20.
Steve, I got one question.
Yes.
Is property, number 7 hooked up to water currently? They don't, or they have a well?
They're hooked up to city water currently. It runs over to 36th Street there on that property line.
So they didn't pay any assessment back when they first
Correct.
did? Okay.
Correct.
So the agreement stated that it would, and are they the same owners that were there?
No.
Or does it matter?
They're not the same owners that were there when that was created. I think the current owner is probably about a, 10-year resident maybe of that parcel.
So that agreement just carried over to the new owner then?
Correct. I do believe in the future, we probably work with council on that, structure that, so when that property sells, that maybe we capture that at that time. That would avoid this type of a situation in the future. We do run into these. We still do create these agreements. And then they creep up 10, 20 years down the road. So I do think there is a need to readdress how we do that going forward.
I agree.
So, one question. So back in 94, whoever built that house agreed to pay, to trench and put in water, 120 foot, essentially to 36th Street. Paid that hooked up water, house on new water. Why would they then at that time agree to pay for assessment 40 years later? You know what I mean? If you were in the moment in 94,
Because they don't want
I just paid a bunch of money to trench and run a line way further than usual.
They don't want to, they just, historically in the books, we had a connection fee, and it was $5 a linear foot. That had gone into the books way back in the 70s and was never adjusted. So here back, I don't remember exactly, 2017 or so, we adjusted that. We made it equal to the average of the last 5 assessments for a linear foot.
I get all that. That's what we're doing now. But I mean, if you made the agreement in 94, does then the 94 hold you to the agreement at $5 a foot?
Yeah, it
You
says
see what I mean?
It
If I'm signing an agreement in
It
94.
doesn't say you're going to pay the connection fee. It says you're going to be subject to an assessment district.
Oh, it did not state that because that would probably been something that you would want in there, speculating that 15 or 35
Yeah.
years from now, I'm gonna be,
Going
30 years.
forward, it would probably work to write in that you would pay, again, these things can last quite a while, but it would probably work to write in the way we calculate that connection fee today, because it's very real. That $5 was not a very real number.
right, but I'm trying to put my head back in 1994, because that's what we're dealing with, right? So if I'm there, $5 a foot doesn't scare me at all, right? Even back in $94.
It must have been scary because they didn't want to pay it.
Well, if I knew it was gonna be $5 a foot, I
Right.
wouldn't care if I picked it up now or 20 years from now. Now, then I'm paying to have my water hookup. I don't care if there's ever a water line that runs by my house ever. Right? So I'm trying to get to the bottom of what is fair here.
Well, what is fair is the city doesn't install water main, right? The developers do. That piece of property never paid their share of the water main. They connected to a water main that was not meant for that piece of property. Now we're putting in the water main that would be meant for that property to tie to, and they need to participate in that cost.
So the lots on 37th Street developed before 36th Street went in.
Well, 36th Street went in, they put the water in, and then when Parcel 7 wanted to build a house, they connected over to the water main in 36th Street because there was no
Right.
water main
But I
in
mean, if that
37th.
was the case, then all of 37th Street would have went back through to 36th Street
They could have.
and hooked water. But Jim, do you know, did 37th Street go in first with the acreage houses developed, and then Bob went in and started, El Dorado back then? Okay.
Yeah, the street went in, but the water main wasn't in 37 until this project.
No, I understand that, but 36th Street came in after the so what essentially happened is the developer came in, I'm gonna develop 37th Street, I'm gonna do septic and well, and we're gonna do acreage lots.
Yeah.
And so that started, and then Bob started El Dorado Hills, and 36th Street came along and said that lot was sold later.
Yes.
Just trying to get the timeline right. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions? Okay.
Moving on to item number 25 then, public hearing for sanitary sewer district 257 on Mach 1 Drive. Again, this was a district driven by the developer that developed the lots on the south side of Mach 1. Construction cost $63,857.24. Administration costs $10,465.01. Total construction cost $74,322.25. Abutting non-property, non-assessable, $16,528.81. Leaving an abutting property accessible value of $57,793.44. This was assessed out per lot then to the six lots on the south side of the Mach 1 there that drove the project. Any questions on that one?
So why is lot 7 different on the sanitary instead of, and then not on the water?
Why is it not different?
Why is it different? No, why is lot 7? Lot 7's not being assessed on sewer. So what happened there that,
He is probably still on septic.
oh, okay.
Or, do you know? Go ahead, Chad, why don't you come up here? Clear that. I think, is he connected to the sewer off to the southeast corner?
Chad Roberts, Water Sewer Director. So the properties there is lot number 7, along with ones that go north on 37th Street. Those do go to the city sewer on 36th Street. However, we can't find any records of what was agreed on back then. So we are looking at that, whatever was designed back then, we couldn't find if there was a connection paid or wasn't paid. So the only thing on the water was that agreement that we had at the courthouse. So that's why we just stuck with the water.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Lastly, item number 27, sanitary sewer district number 258. This is in Rolling Hills. It's kind of the eastern portion of Rolling Hills. 7 lots included in this. I would point out that this is and it's sort of hidden in the title, but this is a connection district. This is probably the first connection district that I'm aware of that we've done within the city of Norfolk. The difference here is these last ones are assessments, and so these will ultimately, through ordinance, be structured under a 20-year assessment, and those lots will have 20 years to pay that off at a fixed interest rate. This here is a connection district, and what happens here is these are paid off lump sum at the time they connect. So they might sit there 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, There's no interest accrued on that connection fee. It just sits there until they connect, and then they pay off in lump sum. And I can't remember, I might have Chad come up, just mention how many are currently connected to that. Because I think there is at least one connected in there already. This project here was constructed at $124,881. Engineering and administration was $14,652.02. Total project cost $139,533.02. Some abutting property non-assessable cost of $18,015.82. The total abutting property assessable cost at $121,517.20. The properties were assessed by the lot. And you can see that calculation back there, $17,359.60 a lot. And again, is a function of the connection district. There's actually going to be two resolutions here. We'll pass one resolution after we come back out and see the city council. Any questions on this? Hold on. Which one? I've got 27, 25, 23, 21, and 19.
Did you talk about and go through all the numbers for the 37th sewer? I think you got started on it and then got bumped back to Mach 1.
Oh,
The third one? Did you go through that with numbers?
'23. Extension District 256. That's what you think I missed?
Because I,
Thank you, Val, for catching that. We'll bounce back here to public hearing for agenda item number 23, Sanitary Sewer Extension District 256 for 37th and Prospect. You have that up. That is 5 properties there on the west side of 37th, north of Prospect. Construction cost for this assessment project, $113,452.00. Engineering and administration, $25,632.58, for a total project cost of $139,084.58. Again, we have the abutting property on the west side is non-assessable at $77,533.69. Abutting property assessable, $61,550.89. The calculations presented in the agenda pack. The assessment is based on, it's a 50-50 split between the area calculation and the linear foot calculation. Any questions on that? Mayor?
Has he read through all of them? Okay. So we've gone through item 19 through 25 and 27. Yeah, is there any other questions from the council here? If not, we'll open it to public for discussion, so anybody wanting to come up, feel free to come up now.
Hello, council. Thank you for opening it up for discussion tonight. Thank you, everyone else, for being here. My name is Carrie Shepherd. My husband and I, Bill, are the per se current owners of Lot 7. For those of you who did not know, number 7 on Mach 1. We have lived there for approximately 7 years, purchasing the house from owners who had lived there approximately a year and a half, 2 years, whom they purchased it from people who had lived there 10 to 15 years. And before that, I'm sure you could go in the records and see what doctor in town owned it and what person signed the per se contract that allowed the house to be hooked up to 37th or 36th Street for water and delay the payment of hookup fees for any future development. My husband and I are currently living at the house with our 3 children. It's been a wonderful house. We got a knock on the door approximately 2 years ago saying that, 2.5 years ago, that there might be a development. Okay? Nothing ever happened, no ground was broke, nothing. When we purchased the house, we signed our loans with the understanding of our realtor that there were no liens against our house. It was not communicated to the owner before us, nor the owner before them. Upon our own investigation, no one knew of this said contract. So we purchased the house knowing that there was no lien or future assessments on the house. We get a knock on the door saying, about a year ago that they're gonna break ground and that we will have to pay for water hookup. We were very confused as to why. We're already hooked up to city sewer. We are already currently hooked up to water. It was explained to us through people from the water division and the city that we would be paying for the water hookup for those 6 houses. My husband and I were very confused because that is not current practice of City of Norfolk. So upon further investigation, and we were shown the contract from 1994 when it was signed, we were told from your city representatives that they know it's unethical. They do not make contracts like this anymore because it would be a large expense to someone owning property to pay for the per se 6 water hookups. They felt really sorry for us. They don't want to be in our shoes, which I doubt any one of you would also want to be in our shoes. We got a bill, proposed estimate. It's north of $23,000 to pay for water hookup, not for my house, not for our property. I asked the board, have any of you done that? Have you paid for your neighbor's water hookup? $23,000. I have 2 kids in college. $23,000. That takes a lot away from our family to give to the families across the street for their new houses. I have a problem with this. But by law, we are obligated to pay. We are obligated to pay because the city made an unethical choice in 1994 and allowed that to happen. There are a lot of things my family is going to go without because of the $23,000 bill. Are we going to send our kids to college? Sure. A little bit slower. Am I going to have to forego some things? Absolutely. Is our house going to have to forego some things? Absolutely. Are we skimming? You bet we are. I'm very disappointed that this council is upholding this contract that has per se, by your city people, known you don't make them anymore because they are unethical and uncharacteristic. Thank you.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Where was this contract upheld at? Is it in the Madison County Register of Deeds office? Where did we find this?
That's correct. So That's correct. It's held in the Madison County Register of Deeds office, and it shows up on a title search, which is how we find them. So this shows up through a title search.
And it was not brought to our
So-
attention when we purchased the home.
So that's that's what I'm trying to ask her, get around to. So the contract was made back in 1994, but it was not disclosed in a title search with the,
Past
with
three
the-
purchasers. I find that fishy.
do we have a date when it was filed with the Register of Deeds, the original?
It was
I-
filed.
And ma'am, not, why Steve's looking for this. We've had this same conversation with two other people that I've personally been in contact with about this as well, so.
And how ethical is it?
I
That's my point, sir.
understand, I understand completely where you're at. But then that's why I'm trying to ask where.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, for those
This
of
falls
you
on the
who don't
Register
know,
of
we have-
Deeds.
We have been offered a payment plan, and I might add, with interest. Thank you. Very little.
This was filed for recording on the 9th day of November, 1992 at 9 o'clock. It's recorded in book M92-11 on page 429.
I was in 10th grade.
So, I mean, just for the councils, we do still do these. We probably do one, maybe two a year of these in the 8 years I've been here. So,
To residential properties
yes, yes.
to the tune of $23,000.
The ones that have most recently been done, yes, are probably when there is an assessment on those, they're large lots. They're sitting on like 2-acre lots.
Do the residents benefit from that?
In the future,
No, she's asking the current landowner, did they benefit from it? And the answer would be yes. They
Are
did.
we?
I see what you're saying.
This is a little bit different, though. Usually, you're on a well. You're not hooked up. That's where.
This property has
These
never,
these are new
This one
construction.
stands out a little bit because they hooked water up to 36th. Usually, you've got a well sitting there, they've got new utilities running by there, you got sewer and water. Now you have the benefit, if your well goes bad, you can hook to city water, and now you have the benefit if your septic goes bad, you can hook to sanitary sewer.
which we
This
do
is a
not
little,
have
yeah, that's
either.
what I'm agreeing with you, it's a
Yeah.
little bit different.
right, so.
That's typically when you buy a home and you've got sewer and water running by your house and you're already on septic and well, a lot of times at that point in time, the bank will want you to hook up, so you don't have any unforeseeable costs as you live there, and they know that it's gonna be tough to finance or individually to finance them without obtaining a second mortgage. So this is just a little bit outside the box from what I'm used to seeing when somebody's already hooked up to water and paid for in 94, over 120 lineal foot of, so
Right, so.
I haven't seen one like this before. I've seen it where
So-
they're not hooked up, but yeah, it's a little bit different.
So anybody, right, so everybody pays for, when lots are developed, that lot pays for the water, the sewer, and the street in front of that lot, right? We don't pay for that water, sewer, and street extensions, the developer. Lot 7 was placed in there without any water on 37th Street or any water on Mach 1. So they reached over and grabbed the water on 36th that the properties adjacent to 36th Street paid for. At that time, when they did that connection, we did this agreement and allowed them to connect back in 1992 under the understanding that when water and sewer was placed in Mach 1, that there would be an assessment cost to them. So the ones that were just recently done were up on, I want to say Sheridan, or a block off, or 24th Street off of Sheridan. So a landowner over there did the same thing. He wanted to connect to water on 25th. We did an agreement. He connected to the water on 25th. And in the future, if he sells that house and moves, and then we put water on 24th, there would be an agreement like this coming forward.
And we were told that was not going to be done again because the city noticed, acknowledged that it was unethical, and then if you're going to allow hookups, that it should be done at the time of construction.
The city told you it was unethical?
The two people who visited our homes, yes, they did.
So, but typically when you have that situation, we switched to where we do hookup fees, correct? I thought we've gone away from the major assessments on acreage lots and gone to more of a hookup fee model. Am I wrong?
We do a hookup fee, so let's say that Mach 1, rather than assess Mach 1, we didn't assess Mach 1 here and did a hookup fee, where they're already connected. So the hookup fee would occur when they connect.
Which could, if if that water line fails in so many years, they'd probably go to Mach 1 to hook up.
Which
that
we
point
would
in time.
probably have to pay for again,
Well, no,
unless you count this as our one-time
yeah,
assess.
right, then you
wouldn't
you'd have no
charge us
cost,
for-
no. But
Okay.
if you did change, I don't know, this is just a different thing, because this wouldn't have been a problem, but we added the 6 homes in there. Before that, it would have been an acreage home, it would have been a big
Yes.
lot that nobody was actually, hadn't been built on. So I'm trying to get my head wrapped around about how the utilities worked between 37th, 36th Street back in 1994. They were coming down the street, so when you go to lot 6, right? 6. Is that the one directly to the north of them? Would their water be going to 36 also? Or did the developments shift when the requirements changed and lots had to get bigger?
If Lot 6 has water, they would have had to have the same thing and connect over to 36, because there was no water on 37th for them to connect to. So if there's a house there on city water, they're connected to 36th Street.
House 6 would be a new build. There is a house next to House 6 that is my understanding is hooked up to 36th water.
So they just ran them back that way? Okay, yeah.
Correct. Is that correct, Chad?
Okay, Chad Roberts, Water Sewer Director. So the lots north of Lot 7, they're all currently on wells.
Okay.
So I think this agreement was,
So what I'm getting at is, back in 1994, that's about the time it changed on what side of an acreage lot you had to have, and you couldn't have a well anymore. You had to hook up to city water if you had a septic. Because that's not a very big lot. I think it went from, correct me if I'm wrong, but it went from 2 to, or 1 to.
1 to 3.
1 to 3, about that. So that's probably what forced them into the water hooking up onto 36.
Well, they hooked up as a function of building the property. This
But
agreement.
don't you think the city was involved when we were required to hook up?
Right,
Didn't
but-
want a well going in, but wanted them hooking up to city water at the time? You don't think so?
I think the house was
Okay.
built in 94. This agreement went into place probably as they were getting ready to build it. It could be as a function of that lot.
Well, if you
being less
look,
than-
if you don't have any sort of
the lot's
situation
less-
here, it sounds goofy.
Right.
Who would agree to this? Why would I hook up and then want to pay for a hookup? Or assessment later on? Why,
Well,
Why
why
not
hasn't
just
it
waive
shown
the-
up on any title searches?
it just seems like a goofy deal.
That's the question.
That's my big question right there. I don't think this is fair, the way this is being played out. I mean, I understand, because I'm assessed too, but this is a whole different situation. Why can't we assess them at like 94 costs then? Whatever it would have cost in 94. So if it would be $3,000 or whatever back then.
Well, we're assessing them for we're assessing that lot for the cost of getting a water main that they can, in theory, connected to that lot.
In theory. We will only hook up to it if we are told we have to, and 36 is no longer allowed for hookup.
Right.
But we are currently being serviced by 36th Street just fine.
Is there a utility easement on lot off of 36th Street?
Those 2 off of 36.
There's a utility easement by the lot line?
I don't know.
Because if there is a utility easement, then when they did the title search, they should have come up on that. If there's no utility easement, then nobody knows about this water line ever.
I mean, Council, I would say, what we're doing here has been very standard practice going back for decades. If we want to move away from that process as we go forward, I hear that, but this process has been, I mean, again, this agreement was done in 1992, we still do these today. So in the future, there will be assessments, just like this one coming forward, where the property like
Steve, I'm not
that's going to be
disagreeing with you on
assessed.
being a standard deal, but I don't remember one where they're hooked up to water, and then we run city water, and then we reassess after they're hooked up to city water.
Yeah, that's the only reason we do these agreements.
No, usually you have an acreage or a well.
so just to clear, they weren't assessed when this agreement went into place. So that's what they foregone was their assessment. They paid for the plumber to hook up, but the city didn't receive any money, any funds back to us. So that's what this.
Off of
agreement-
36th Street.
Correct. So that's what this agreement did. It
So they forego.
pushed the can down the road, so to speak, to the next individual.
I
But
currently
here's the
hold
problem though, if they would have been assessed back then, would we still be we'd be assessing them on Mach 1?
No, if they were assessed back then, we can only assess them one time.
So do you assess them what they should have been assessed back in
That's-
94, that they'd get paid? I mean, I'm just trying to
Right.
dive through it, which would be,
We,
you
you
know,
know,
the same
Currently,
linear.
right now, we're just
Same linear
following what's in
foot,
our city
yeah.
code, so that's.
the way it's set up is we assess them for the actual cost to get the water main in front of their property. Just like all the other properties in town, everybody pays for the water and sewer that gets in front of their properties.
I agree with you, Steve, but this is just different. This is not the same scenario. They are already hooked up. And to assess them again after they're already hooked up.
But they haven't been assessed.
It's never been.
They didn't pay a connection fee.
Well, no, and I get that, but they are already hooked up.
Right. And again, we probably do two agreements just like this.
And do we
Probably
know for
every
sure
year.
we didn't get paid in 94?
Val,
city?
Can you, by any chance, pull up the GIS and see if there is a right-of-way between those properties?
There's no water main in front of them to charge them a connection fee to. So if the water main had already been in Mach 1 when they built as a function of other development, and then that whoever built on Lot 7 comes in there and builds and connects to the water main in Mach 1, then we charge them a connection fee to that. Because there's no assessment, there's no project to assess, so they're just charged a connection fee.
I got a question, maybe this is for Mel. So, if they were never assessed, and if basically this is a contract stating that you would be assessed later on in 1994 at $5 a foot, will we not be wrong that should be the only assessment, which would be from their property over to Mach 1 with the 1994 contract, not our new contract?
So the agreement that I'm looking at doesn't have the $5 per square foot amount. There is no amount. It just says at the future prorated cost for any water extension district.
But
Legally, we want to keep the assessments to what the benefit is for the property. And so that's why there's a formula that Steve uses per linear foot that's used in this instance. And you don't want to deviate from that.
I totally understand that, but the assessment, the way it was drawn up back in 1994, obviously, was $5 a foot. That's what I heard.
No.
That's what we heard.
No, because that wasn't, because I will tell you, we purchased the lot that I live on right now, and we purchased it back in about 77, 78. And at that time, when you purchased a lot, you had the price of the lot, you had an assessment for the water, and an assessment for the sewer that were all noted as, they were a separate item in the purchase of my lot at that time. And so, and it was way more than $5 a foot. I will guarantee, I could actually go back and dig that paper up, because I did, well, I don't throw it away. But it was considerably more than $5 a foot. Because at $5 a foot, mine would have been somewhere around $400. And it was close to, in the 1970s, it was close to $1,300 or $1,400.
And just to be clear, this agreement that I'm looking at in front of me, what the previous owners agreed to is that for the privilege of connecting to that water main, they agreed to pay the pro rata cost of any water extension district created by the city for extending water service. So that was that agreement at that time that was had. I don't know what happened with the title searches. That's something you'd probably want to look into with them, because that is where this should have been brought up.
And I think that's the rub here is They just weren't aware of it
Right.
when they bought it, or the previous owners when they bought it. That's tough. That's really tough to buy a property and you have a clean title, and here you are faced with an assessment that isn't recorded, or was possibly, but somehow it's lost its title. I don't know.
But the reason
Then
that
you
probably
throw in the
didn't show
oddity
up on
of, this one's in there, but sewer is
I
not.
read book and page.
Well, that makes me wonder, if we don't have a right-of-way district in here, I mean, how did this go through? Because if we had a right-of-way district, like Shane says, it would have been caught in a title search. So was the line put in illegally?
It's 1994. A lot of things happened back then. Good, bad, or, but the agreement still is out there, you know, and it's much like, you know, I'm gonna be seeing an assessment on some property that I have that, you know, it's just one of those things, and you end up paying, yeah. Is it a 20-year bill? Yeah, it's a 20-year bill.
But at least you're aware of it, Jim, to where these people were not even aware.
But that's not our fault that they didn't discover it.
And excuse me, Councilman Langy, we are not benefiting from this. If
think
I
that-
had the
but-
construction
Right.
and I was hooking up to that water, or 37th Street, if my husband and I decided, yep, we're gonna hook up to it, that would be a benefit.
Well, see, like
But
the argument sorry, Tim, go ahead.
So I'm not arguing whether you benefit or don't benefit from it. I'm arguing that the agreement went along with the property.
That's why I said it when I first came up here, we are legally bound
Right.
to pay the unethical assessment. Unjust.
Councilman Hildebrand, I did find that plat. There is a 5-foot utility easement going down in between these two lot lines. So if that's where they went, there is a utility
There is a
easement
utility
there.
easement.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then for benefit too, I mean, this is a very large lot. They could split this lot and sell the back part of it and sell that off to a separate lot and have another house built there if they so chose. I mean, there's plenty of room back there too.
We own an acre and a half.
And you need 5,000 square feet for a single-family lot.
And then you get the squeezed-in development that we are currently working with on Mothman.
Well, I'm just saying that is an option if you wanted to help pay for the assessment or something like that. I mean,
That is why we
there
moved
is
out there,
that.
ma'am, for location
I
and
think,
land.
I think,
But
Val,
thank
you present a good point, but that would present it to be more of a connection fee argument, right? You know what I'm saying, then, because usually when you go by a big major acreage, we do connection fees because we don't know what the future holds for that lot.
Well, they would
That's what we've done
still-
here as of recently, we've been doing that. so.
They would still pay the assessment, but because it's a large lot, that's what happens a lot of times is some people get a $200,000 assessment on a 10, 20 acre lot, and then they don't want to pay all of that, obviously,
Yeah.
for their
No.
one house. That's when the
I don't
the
disagree with
platting
what you're
comes
saying, but
through.
the houses on the west side of the road here, we just gave them connection fees essentially to run up 37th Street. So what, that to me is that if we're talking about them someday subdividing that lot, that's a connection fee argument, not a assessment argument, because we just did it right down 37. Not to, I'm just.
It's
see-
just an option out
No,
there.
I'm not,
that-
I'm
yeah.
just pointing out.
Mrs. Shepherd, I have a question for you. Did you by chance contact your title company and ask them about the title insurance that you took out and whether they would cover this error? Because you take title insurance out to cover such things, defects, errors, maybe a miss like this, which if it is still recorded, it should still be on the records with the Register of Deeds, and it should have probably been caught.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'm Bill Shepard. I'm the property owner with my wife Carrie. Appreciate the discussion concerning property 7. Councilman Orange, to answer your question, we didn't realize that it was brought up in the title search when we purchased the home. It was not disclosed to us by our realtor, by the title company, by our lender, because I assume that just like previous owners to us, the can would have been kicked down the road like the city has said, and we would go about our lives and own the property and not have a situation arise until we got a knock on our door when the property to the south of us was being developed, that 1.5 acres. So we were unaware of it until that point in time. We did go back to the title company and asked to have that looked at, and it was on the title search. So it was located within the title search when we purchased the property. We weren't told about it, and unless you work for a title company or you work for a bank or you are a realtor, I can almost guarantee you that most of the homeowners probably aren't knowledgeable to be looking for those things. Now, ultimately, that responsibility falls on the homeowners. I'm not going to argue where responsibility lies, but what I'm asking is to do the right thing. Is an agreement from 1994 for somebody who had constructed the property to push a cost off, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, and we just happen to be the lucky recipients of that. If we're doing the right thing, I'd ask the council and the mayor to really consider not pursuing these agreements in the future. Because there's a benefit to the developer or the owner who constructs the property, but there's not a benefit to the other side when you have a homeowner who's purchased the property how many years down the road that is being footed with an assessment bill. That's what I'm asking. Do the right thing. Don't allow these agreements to go on.
Thank you.
And Mayor and Council, I would support that conversation in the future. You know, one of the things that we struggle with when we're trying to push water and sewer, usually it's 1 or 2 or 3 people in a neighborhood that are desirous of that. They're on a well, their well's starting to fail, and so they desire to get on water. And where we have these kinds of agreements in place and they're already connected to water, it does make it more difficult to get them to want to join into an assessment district because they're already connected, so what's their benefit?
Have you got an example where they're already connected to water when we ran, and then new water ran by and they had to?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've done, yeah. I could certainly come up with those, Mayor, and get those in front of council. But yes, there are. Yes.
Good evening. My name is David Jansma. This is just wrong. They've been paying on that property a water and sewer bill since 1994, and now this comes to light. Come on, guys and ladies, make it right. Do the right thing. It's not worth this because this property is being developed beside. Now they get hammered for being on city water already and sewer. I'm pretty sure I've been in that house and I know whose house it was. But this is wrong. Swallow your pride and do the right thing.
Jim McKenzie, I would also agree. I think this is unfair to these property owners. For them to discover this and have a $20-some thousand assessment because somebody developed across the street doesn't seem fair. One thought that came to my mind is you've got another proposal tonight for a connection district, which they don't pay anything and no interest until they connect. Why wouldn't this be a connection district and then there's no assessment whatsoever until they ever connect to it. Just an idea. Thanks.
I think that's a good suggestion, honestly. Is there a way we can do that?
I would have to defer to council on that. I'm not I'm not aware of a path to reverse an assessment district. So I'd have to confer with council and see what our options look like on that.
Well, we're gonna be bringing this back up again, because we're when we go to discuss, we have discussion when we move out of our, Board of Equalization, correct? So we can, we can come back to this one. So for the sake of time, getting to our meeting here, let's go through, we can come back to it before we close the Board of Equalization. What?
Need to see if there's anybody else.
Oh, is there anybody else who'd like to speak upon right now? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn from the Board of Equalization.
Right now? Okay. Okay, so I will. I need a motion to adjourn. No, I can just close? Okay, I'm gonna close the hearing. And then, now I need a motion, adjourn as the Board of Equalization.
So move.
Okay. All right, motion second, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, that moves us to item 20, consideration approval of ordinance number 5971, Laven Special Assessment in Water Extension District number 130, 37th and Prospect.
I'll offer for consideration the approval of ordinance number 5971.
A motion second, discussion again, led by Steve.
Mayor and council, this would be the ordinance then for Water Extension District 130 on 37th and Prospect. This is a 20-year assessment. Once this is passed and the owners receive the assessment documentation in the mail, if they pay that within 50 days in full, there is a 1.1% reduction in the assessment. Again, this project brings domestic water and fire service to the properties listed in the ordinance. I'd answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Anyone, members of the public, discussion here on this one? All right, seeing none, short title, please.
An ordinance levying special assessments upon the lots, parts of lots, lands, and real estate abutting upon and adjacent to and specially benefited by the improvements in Water Extension District Number 130 of the City of Norfolk, Nebraska, to defray the cost of said improvements and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Please vote, please.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5971 carries on first reading.
Oh, no, I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass this on second and third reading.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion from public? Seeing none, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5971 carries on second and third.
All right, on to number 22, consideration approval of ordinance number 5972, levying special assessment in the Water Extension District number 132, Mach 1 Drive.
Mayor and council, This is
I'll
the,
I'll make a motion for consideration of approval of ordinance number 5972.
Second.
My motion second discussion.
Mayor and Council, this is the ordinance then for the assessments on Water Extension 132 along Mach Drive. Again, this is would create a 20-year assessment. All of the assessments tonight are at a 5% interest rate. If once the individual properties receive the notice of the assessment in the mail and pay that off within full, within 50 days, it'd be a 1.1% deduction in the assessment. Again, water, this is providing water service to the properties, providing access to domestic water and fire service to those properties.
Well, this is the one we had a lot of discussion on earlier, so I didn't make everybody aware of that.
My thought on this, I don't know where we stand on this as a council. I think we've been all over the place, and I think we're somewhat unsure. But my thought is a contract made in 1994 that I guess maybe Mel should have to tell me what that contract said for 1994 of what the assessment would be when it's hooked up, or what they're actually tell me what the city's ordinance was for connection in 1994. I think that's what I really want to know. What we heard was they've never been assessed for connection. And what we've also heard was it was somewhat hidden in the title, where these property owners didn't necessarily see that. But I think the right thing to do is if something like this is assessed, it's off of what that looked like in 1994, not what our current change that we did back in 2017, which really made up the difference of what the actual costs are. That's why we made that change back in 2017, knowing that the way it was before that never really covered costs. But if that's the way it was back then and that's how it was written, even though it sounds a little bit different that it'd be our current way of doing things, I think the right thing to do would be how that was actually addressed in 1994. I think that's the good compromise between the two, but that's my.
And I don't have any way of knowing what the process would have been in 1994, so that's something that I would need additional time to research.
We don't know what that ordinance
I don't
said
know.
back.
No.
What that was before we changed it in 2017. Okay.
Yeah, well, we were a whole different lineal foot costs before 2017.
Right, right. But I think somewhere we have to find a compromise of what is right. And if there was never an assessment on that property, but they have water hookup and we can't find anything for sewer hookup, which is really odd, where do we stand? I don't know. I get where they're coming from. They're already hooked up. And I get somewhat where the city's coming from is there's never been an assessment charged to it. But how do we right a wrong that was done a long time ago before any of us were up here? Even, Jim, I don't even know if you were on planning commission back then.
I was on planning commission.
Well, there you go.
So, yes, I was on, I guess.
You're the only one.
Yeah, is it good or bad or indifferent? What I can't see is why, and I don't know, why is the title search company not being held liable for not finding this?
Well, from the sounds of it, the title insurance search did find it.
Okay, so if it found it, then it should have been with the documents, or, I mean.
It should have been.
So, I mean.
I do think there's an error somewhere along the line. Would it have been difficult to find? Possibly, but it does sound like, I think there's a little bit there that maybe needs to be looked at a little bit further. Because if the title insurance discovered that assessment actually exists or pens, then it probably should have been noted.
And that's my main point on it, is that, okay, granted, right now, the owner of the property is looking at footing the whole bill on it, and I'm saying at least the people that did the title search for them, if they didn't disclose it, is there not liability there?
I think there very well could be. I think at this
So
point,
at
I
that
think
point,
it's difficult to assess them or approve this without at least giving this a little bit more time. I think this would be a great one to maybe table, just to give everybody a little bit more time. We can take a look at what we had in '94. We can take a look at what the title insurance actually revealed. I wouldn't want to assess them this dollar amount tonight with all the pending question marks that are out there.
And I would have to agree with you on that. This has been in and these things develop out over a long period of time anyway. So even if they took it on a 20-year, it's that way. So if it took 2 months to find out where we're at or who's actually got the real liability on it, and maybe it's, it may be that the owner needs to contact a legal person and go after the title company on it. That's not something for this board, for this council to be deciding.
Bill?
Bill Shepherd. I don't know if I could have a minute to respond to that, Councilman Laney. We've looked at the possibility. We looked at the possibility when the city knocked on our door 2 or 3 years ago. So if we had a legal standing, we would go ahead and do that. Councilman Arns, I know you asked, did that show up in a title search? And I'm being truthful because when we own the property, I think we can all agree that this is probably an important enough document to go with the property that probably should have been disclosed by the title company, communicated, because if unless you're in and working in that industry, you're probably not gonna read through a title insurance document, how many ever pages it is, and know and be able to understand exactly what documents are in there and specifically what it means. We were not communicated by the title company. We were not communicated by our realtor. We were not communicated by our lender when we applied for our mortgage and went to loan closing with our mortgage on the property. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's a set of circumstances, and I can guarantee you that's what's happened. With the change in the ownership of the property over the years. It was probably noted in a title search, and it was never brought to light because who knows when a water district is going to be created. Lo and behold, 33 some odd years, we're the lucky property owners that you had to find that out. But we did. We contacted legal counsel. And basically, we were told legally we cannot pursue action if it's identified in the title insurance policy.
So
and it's there.
That's what I was getting at.
But
it
it's
is
not
identified.
communicated. It was never communicated to us. But if I'm arguing, was it there or not? I can't argue that it wasn't there because it is in the document.
Even your lender, when you went to the bank?
No.
Nothing.
Not communicated.
And usually, I'm guessing, and Frank could probably be more of an expert, isn't that something that usually somewhere along the lines is brought out?
I would say generally, this is something, you had a lot of eyes on that thing. So for them the lender not to see it, the title company, the realtor involved, you would think you would have seen it.
Well, I can guarantee you, if that would have been something that would have been brought to our attention, Carrie and I probably would have had a discussion in terms of, what possibilities could there be in the future, and would that weigh in our decision and factor into us ultimately purchasing the property. Now, we might have had a conversation on it, and we might have decided that we were willing to. Still take the chance and purchase it, and there could have been the decision to, not move through with the contract and find a different property. but we didn't have that conversation, we were unaware.
The difficult portion of this, I think, Steve and Mel will probably attest to is, we're almost bound in a way to assess that person that is connected to a water and sewer. I think the question is can we, and Corey brought this up, can we compromise that potentially? We may have to assess it, right? Because legally, I don't know if we can get around that corner, but how much? And maybe we're able to go back to 94 and use some numbers. I don't know, I don't want to overspeak, but I do think that's a reason why we should table this, to give it some more consideration.
I appreciate that.
But if this would have been assessed, if this would have been assessed in 94, it would have been 13 years ago that assessment would have been released and been paid for too. So there's that to think about as well.
Since it's my job to table things on the council, I'll make a motion to.
I will second that.
Okay. No discussion on a motion. We have a motion second. Please vote.
We're voting on.
The table.
Tabling on item,
Ordinance.
Just-
5972.
okay,
Motion
very
to
good.
table ordinance.
So all
number
all 7 houses?
No. Well,
Ordin-
correct,
yes,
yes.
the entire ordinance.
Yes.
All council members voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right, we're on to, we're on 24 now? Yeah. On item number 24, consideration approval ordinance number 5973, levying special assessment in sanitary sewer extension district number 256, 37th and Prospect.
I'll make a motion for consideration of approval of ordinance number 5973.
Second.
We have a motion second. Any other discussion?
Mayor and council, yeah, this would be, again, this is a 20-year assessment at 5% with a 1.1% reduction if that is paid off within 50 days of receiving the assessment notice. This is providing access to city sewer to those properties. I'd answer any questions.
Any discussion from the public? All right, seeing none.
Short title.
Seeing none, short title, please.
An ordinance levying special assessments upon the lots, parts of lots, lands, and real estate abutting upon and adjacent to, and specially benefited by the improvements in sanitary sewer extension district number 256 of the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, to defray the cost of said improvements and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Please vote, please.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5973 carries on first reading.
Seeing no objection, I'll request that we suspend the rules and waive the second and third readings.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5973 carries on second and third.
Okay, now we're on to item number 26, consideration approval of ordinance number 5974, levying special assessment in sanitary sewer extension district number 257, Mach 1 Drive.
I'll make a motion for consideration of approval of ordinance number 5974.
Second.
All right, a motion second, any discussion?
Mayor and council, just again review, this is a 20-year assessment at 5% interest with a 1.1% reduction in the assessment if it's paid off within 50 days. Again, this is providing sewer service to the 6 lots on the south side of Mach 1 Drive.
Any other discussion or questions?
No.
Just what's up in front of you there. Any discussion from the public? All right, seeing none, short title, please.
An ordinance levying special assessments upon the lots, parts of lots, lands, and real estate abutting upon and adjacent to and specially benefited by the improvements in sanitary sewer extension district number 257 of the city of Norfolk, Nebraska, to defray the cost of said improvements and to provide for the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5974 carries on first reading.
Seeing no opposition, I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules and pass on second and third.
I'll second that.
Motion second, any discussion? All right, seeing none, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, ordinance number 5974 carries on second and third. So before we discuss item number 27, so this one is a little bit unique, like Steve touched on earlier, item number 28. I apologize. So as Steve touched on earlier, this one is a little bit unique in the fact that this is the city's first connection district. So this is a two-part process. So this is going to require two resolutions. The first resolution, council is going to sit as the Board of Equalization. The second resolution passed, you are going to sit as the City Council. So before we consider item number 28, we will need a motion to adjourn as City Council and convene as the Board of Equalization.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion second, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
Yeah. Now we need a motion to consider approval of resolution 2026 or -8, determining benefits for sanitary sewer connection district number 258, Rolling Hills Drive.
I'll offer for consideration the approval of resolution 2026-8.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mayor and council, this resolution is establishing as a function of the Board of Equalization that the sums benefited to the properties, in this particular case of $17,359.60 for each property of 7 properties, is equal and uniform and provides essentially an equal and uniform benefit to those parcels. So I'd answer any questions you would have.
Any other discussion? Okay. So we have a motion and a second then?
Yep, we can vote.
Okay, we can vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, resolution 2026-8 is adopted. So now we'll adjourn as the panel.
Okay.
All right.
Now we will adjourn as the Board of Equalization.
I'll make the motion.
Right, motion and second. Please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right, now we're at item number 29. Consideration of approval of resolution 2026-9 approving connection fees for sanitary sewer connection district number 258, Rolling Hills Drive.
I'll offer for consideration the approval of resolution 2026-9.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor and council, basically this is just recertifying that the special assessments previously in the previous resolution set by the Board of Equalization shall not be levied as special assessments, but shall be certified by this resolution to the Register of the Deeds of Madison County, Nebraska, and recorded accordingly. When connections then are made to these districts, the cost of the district is then paid in full by that resident at that time.
Steve, I got a question. I don't know if this, I think it's probably worth asking. I don't know if it's trivial or not, but as the line is drawn basically through lots 3 and 4 and a little bit on lot 2, and then so you end up with longer connection lines on the opposite side of the street. Is the connection to middle of street, or is the connection literal to the length of what it takes to get to the main?
So when we lay out sewer for any development, the cost of the sewer stub to the property is part of our sewer infrastructure. When they connect, then they'll connect from wherever we end that service connection to the house. And some are shorter and some are longer. It just depends on where the sewer main is. But we consume all of that cost within the linear foot or the total cost of the project and assess that. We don't assess one property more or less than any other.
So they're all assessed the same? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, in this particular case, we laid this assessment out as per lot. So it's 7 lots, everybody's paying 1/7 of the cost of the district.
Okay, thank you.
Nice, good question. Anything else? All right, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, Resolution 2026-9 is adopted.
All right, I need a motion to pull item number 30, consideration of approval of the professional retail operations PRO agreement with Nebraska Public Power District, NPPD, and the City of Norfolk. This item was tabled at the February 17th, 2026 City Council meeting. Need a motion to pull this off the table?
I'll make a motion to remove from the table.
Second?
Motion to second, please vote.
All council members voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right. I need consideration approval of the professional retail operations agreement between the Norfolk Public Power District and the City of Norfolk.
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
Second, okay, and then discussion. Mel will be leading us in discussion.
Yes. So after further review and receiving some additional comments regarding this NPPD contract, I reached out to NPPD to consider the addition of language, specifically located in Article 3, titled Operation and Use of Facilities in the second paragraph. Specifically, we requested to see language inserted in this paragraph that NPPD shall, quote, promptly, fully, and in a non-discriminatory manner serve any and all electrical customers located in any area that is annexed by the city. NPPD did respond to us with some concerns. Specifically, they raised concerns that the language did not align with the statutory language that is found in Nebraska Revised Statute 70-1017. And they also wanted to ensure that they maintain consistency across all of their communities. So what they did come back with in order to be amenable and willing to work with the city, was that they would, in the same paragraph, so in that Article 3, Operation and Use of Facilities, they would add in the language or the phrase as prescribed by Nebraska law to the paragraph in question in order to comply with that.
Mayor and council, as a function of the tabling and then potentially bringing up a modified document, just kind of run through, what you'll need to do is amend. So any changes to the table document would need to be amended changes. If there are multiple changes that you want to make to the document, I would recommend that each change be done as its own amendment. So this language change here that Mel just talked about, if we want to modify that Article 3, second paragraph to insert as prescribed by Nebraska law, and that would be an amendment. We will also need an amendment to change the effective date from April 1st of 2026 to June 1st of 2026. Third, I know at the last conversation, there was some conversation about the lease fee of 12.5%. Again, if there is a desire to have a conversation about modifying that, that would need to be a separate amendment.
I would like to make that amendment. I think at this time, as people know, I'm against this agreement. But I would like to make the amendment that at this time, we stay at the 12% with the option in the future to go ahead and go to the 12% or maybe the 14% at council's discretion. But for right now, I would like to see this fee stay at the 12%.
Sue, just so I'm clear, so right now it says 12.5 to 14 is the range, right?
Right, so it can
I
only
want an
be,
amendment to say it stays at
12 to
12%.
14.
And, right, and in the future, yes.
Yeah.
so right now, I'll bring that up. That is in Article 4,
Under
the
Article 4.
agreement. In Article 4, it says during the term, lease payments in an amount equal to 12.5% of the retail value so adjusted shall be paid by MTPD to the city. So we would be modifying that portion where it specifically calls out the 12.5% relative to this agreement. It does go down further in there and say that, the lease fee can be anything from 12 to 14%, and it can only be adjusted in 0.5% increments. So it can go up 0.5% on an annual basis. It can go down 0.5% on an annual basis. It can't go lower than 12, and it can't go higher than 14
And
during the term of the
each
agreement.
0.5% increase has to have council approval in a council meeting.
Correct.
And Councilman Bickman, I do want to just make a comment. We've had some discussion, some very brief introduction to a plan. The mayor has kind of brought forward on our budget moving forward. One thing to consider is this 0.5% does kind of throw, we can only increase by a 0.5% per year. So it does kind of throw a little bit of a delay maybe in that plan.
Well, Frank, this is a long-term, Shane's plan is a long-term plan, like 4 years out. And it asks for citizens' approval on a number of those steps. And I think there's a lot of people that have not yet had access to that document.
Right.
Or that even know about it, to be honest with you. So I would like to keep it at the 12% now with the option to move forward in the future. And then that will give time for the plan possibly to go into effect. So for right now, I would like to keep those rates just as they are.
That's a fair statement.
Yep.
I agree with that, Sue.
And the thing too is this contract was supposed to be signed, we originally, when was our initial date of it, accepting this contract?
It was going to be first meeting in February.
Yeah, so we're not really talking that much
We're
difference in
getting
time,
close to
so-
this, end of this year's fiscal anyway. So the option of even of the 0.5% for the rest of the fiscal is not that big. It's not a big sum of money.
And I would like to make sure that when we do that extra 0.5% is designated to something specific,
Well, that
not
would-
the general fund.
That would roll over to next year's fiscal discussion on budget, and that's when that would have to happen. So you make a legitimate point. So since we're having that discussion now, we need to make that amendment and then vote on that amendment, correct?
So currently
Trying to
there.
follow along here, because we're gonna
Yes,
have
yes.
three.
And just
Yeah.
for clarification for you,
Yes.
by not changing it today to 12.5, by not changing it as a function of this agreement, if you did change it to 12.5% today, you could not adjust it another 0.5% up or down for another year from today. By leaving it at 12, modifying this document back to 12, you could have a conversation this fall after other budget conversations if you wanted to go to 12.5. You cannot,
You cannot, we're locked in for a year.
but we're not changing it, oh.
But we're
Okay, so-
entering into a new contract, so.
Okay.
So just to clarify, so if there's a 12% that's accepted and approved today, we are locked into that for a year.
I get it. I'm sorry, council, but because this is a new agreement, we're,
Hang on. MPPD wants to speak.
go ahead,
They're saying
Pat.
no.
Pat, Brittany, why don't you come up?
My understanding of it is that we will lock it in, but maybe I'm wrong.
Trying to find one without a lid, sorry. So I'm Brittany Koenig with Nebraska Public Power District, Account Manager for the City of Norfolk. And what is being presented is true. Once you approve the rate, it can't be moved for a year. However, with the approval of the contract, if you guys wanted to revisit it in a month, next month, it could be changed with the vote of council. So, but then you're right, once you've approved it, it is locked in for a year. But it could be changed at any time. Is that correct, Pat, the way you understand it as well?
You're not changing the 12% from what it is today.
Right, it's the same.
If you decide to move it up, then you have to wait a year.
Right, so once you decide to move it up, so you can move it up, you know, in 2 weeks if you want to talk about it again.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, we're getting kind of used to coming, that's okay, we get it.
We enjoy seeing you, so.
But that's the case, so it's staying the same, so it's not changing. So when you do change it, then you are locked into that for a year. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you for that clarification, Brittany, and my apologies.
Absolutely, oh, no, it's perfectly fine. That's why we're here.
So just keep us on pace here. Are we discussing, and I don't know if I can ask this, are we discussing 3 amendments tonight?
If,
Potentially.
any change,
Potentially.
any change needs
Well,
to be
I know that one
discussed. Yeah,
time, I understand that. I just want to keep moving at pace, because I don't want to get off
Yes.
subject.
Yeah,
So
so,
the subject at hand with this amendment is the 12%.
Correct.
That's where we're at. All right,
Yes.
so there's a discussion,
So,
gentlemen
yes.
and ladies.
And there is a motion on the floor to amend the initial
there a
lease payment to 12%.
Is there a second?
Yes.
I have not had a second.
There is a second.
We have a second.
we
Okay,
have a second.
any further discussion?
Jim McKenzie. I encourage you to approve the NPPD agreement. They've been a good partner for the city for many years. They've kept electricity rates low. But again, I ask you, please don't increase the city's electricity tax. It's been established, it's actually 14.5% because it's calculated upon top of itself. And then sales tax is actually even added on top of the 14.5%. So sales tax is on top of a tax. You get a tax upon a tax upon a tax. You know, this is a commodity. The city does not tax any other good or service in the city at 14.5%. Nothing. Nothing is taxed as high as electricity is in the city of Norfolk. That's gotta be enough. It's a commodity that everybody's gotta use. You don't have a choice. And how does increasing this tax encourage businesses to locate here? How does increasing this tax encourage more citizens to move here? Everybody's got to use electricity. It's already 14.5%. That's enough. If you really want to actually encourage economic development, maybe you should consider lowering it. That might even be a better benefit. Anyway, I appreciate your consideration. Thanks.
Right, any other discussion?
Just to be clear, if we do 12, 12 and a half, we're actually able to adjust this at any time or within 1 year of tonight?
if it stays at,
Anytime, okay.
if it stays at 12, there's no, that's not considered a change, and so you can adjust that you could adjust that any time after tonight. Once you go up, then it's a year from that date of that change.
Is that clear? Okay, all right. Any other discussion? Please vote.
The top limit of 14% is in here.
Correct.
I wanted to
That
make
is
sure
correct, and that is a function, this is a standard pro agreement through NPPD, and so that is a built-in function of the agreement through NPPD. That's not something that we negotiated with them, that's just the way the agreement is.
And the amendment we're talking about is leaving it at 12 right now,
Correct.
just so everybody's clear.
I hope so. Okay. Any other discussion?
Yeah, no, I'll be abstaining from all votes tonight with MPD's contract.
All right, any other, buddy, want to jump in here? Okay, please vote.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Granquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Motion carries.
Okay,
Yeah, now let's move to the second amendment.
so, yeah,
Sounds
Mayor,
great.
Mayor and Council, we need
The other amendment
We
to
need
this
to change
contract.
the effective date of the agreement now to, from April 1st, 2026 to June 1st of 2026.
And with this effective
And
date,
that is in Article 1.
and with this effective date change, it also changes some termination dates. So I have some specific language to this amendment. So what I suggest is a motion to amend to change the effective date to June 1st, 2026 in all applicable sections, the initial term date updated to May 31st, 2046, and the final termination date updated to May 31st, 2051 in Article 1, term and effective date. So I just need
I
a
would move
motion
the
and a second.
amendment as stated that way.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Second over here.
I was trying to write it down.
I would too. I'm like, I can't keep up with her.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion to amend the date? All right, seeing none, please vote.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Granquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Motion carries.
All right, now we'll be discussing,
Final amendment that I would offer would be that amendment regarding incorporation of the state language into, I believe it was Article 3.
That'd be,
I'll second that.
State Statute 70-1017, I believe, right, Mel?
Can you say that again?
It's this Nebraska State Statute 70-1017.
So the language itself that we mentioned was just as prescribed by Nebraska state statute with no state statute listed.
Correct.
Do you guys need any clarification on that? In that second paragraph? I'll read the second paragraph. MPPD shall serve any and all electrical customers located in any area that is annexed by city during the term of this agreement, and NPPD shall do so, insert, as prescribed by Nebraska law and. And then it goes on to say pursuant to the terms and conditions of this agreement, and shall take all appropriate action to integrate any and all facilities serving such customers into city distribution system.
I believe that's what MPPD offered.
Correct, that was language brought back by
That's my
NPPD.
amendment.
Yes. So,
You're good with that amendment?
so just to be clear, the motion is to amend to have the language as prescribed by Nebraska law and added to the second paragraph in Article 3, operation and use of facilities.
Yes.
right, any other discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Granquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Motion carries.
All right. We're on item,
So now we're going to go ahead and approve the agreement as amended.
okay. So now, we're going to go ahead and approve the agreement, item number 30, as amended Consideration approval of professional retail operations agreement between Norfolk Public Power District and the City of Norfolk.
I would so move as amended.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Grandquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Motion carries. We need to remove this from the table.
I need a motion to pull off the table, consider, item number 31, consideration approval resolution 2026-7, approving the professional retail operations agreement between Norfolk Public Power District and the City of Norfolk. This item was tabled at the February 17th, 2026 City Council meeting.
I would so move, Your Honor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mayor and council, this resolution would need an amendment to,
1 second, Steve, 1 second.
Just pulling it off
We need
the
to
table.
vote on removing this from the table.
Right, right.
Oh.
We've got a motion and a second. To remove off the table.
You still got it.
Okay, go ahead and vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
All right.
So now we need a motion to consider.
Now we need a motion to consider approval of resolution 2026-7, approving the professional retail operations agreement between Norfolk Public Power District and the City of Norfolk.
I'll offer for consideration the approval of Resolution 2026-7.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yes, I'd like to add an amendment to that also. For this one, it would be, I'd like to introduce an amendment to amend item number 3 under notice of transaction to show the initial lease payment shall be in the amount equal to 12% instead of the 12.5.
Yes. Yes. We will have to make a formal amendment because this resolution will be will be noticed in the paper for a remonstrance period. So this will have to match what's in the agreement. So we will have to make that formal amendment.
For all three?
No,
Just-
the only thing that's in this that matches the agreement is that lease payment. So the only amendment we will need to make to this is the amendment to change the lease payment to 12.5% within that notice of
To 12%,
transaction.
from
To
12.
12%, from 12.5.
I would second that.
All right. Any discussion? So we're voting to amend.
Amendment.
Yep, we're voting to amend
All right.
Number 3.
the lease payment
So
from.
we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Grandquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Motion carries.
Now, we need a motion to adopt with the current amendment added in and approve resolution 2026-7, approving the professional retail operations, or PRO, agreement between Norfolk Public Power District and PPD and the City of Norfolk.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
The motion is second. Any discussion? Anyone else want to have discussion? We're at the end of this then? For real? All right.
Well,
Please vote.
it's a 20-year. So if you're here in 20 years.
What? Oh, sorry.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Grandquist, Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand. Resolution 2026-7 is adopted as amended.
We'll see this contract again in 2046, right? No, okay. Somebody will. All right. May I have a motion to go into closed session for the protection of the public interest to hold a strategic or session with respect of collective bargaining.
So move. Second, whatever, sorry, I'm here.
Do I have a second?
Yes, you do.
Okay, please vote. Motion carried. Again, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, shit, sorry.
I wanted to abstain too.
Voting in the affirmative, McCarthy, Grandquist,
Yes.
Arns, Jensen, Langy, Webb, Beckman, abstaining, Hildebrand, motion carries.
Motion carried. Again, this closed session is for the sole purpose of holding a strategy session with respect to collective bargaining. Okay. The only item discussed during the closed session was the strategy session with respect to the collective bargaining. May I have a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved.
Motion second, please vote.
All council members present voting in the affirmative, motion carries.
We are adjourned.